Physics Principles and Applications Paper 2nd Class FYBSc Chapter number 1 Physics of Atoms. It is a lecture series number 3rd. I am from Department of Physics from AIT Arts Science and Commerce College, Malegaon. Today we will learn about classical planetary model of hydrogen atom. The Bohr's model is familiar as a planetary model of the atom, illustrated in figure. In the Bohr's model, the protons occupy a dense central region called the nucleus, and the electrons orbit around the nucleus, much like planets orbiting the Sun. The radius of the nucleus is about 10⁵ times smaller than the radius of the entire atom. And as far as we can tell, electrons are point particles without a physical extent. This similarity between a planetary model and the Bohr's model of the atom ultimately arises because the attractive gravitational force in a solar system and the attractive Coulomb force between the positively charged nucleus and the negatively charged electrons in an atom are mathematically of the same form. Here in the figure it is clearly shows that classical planetary model of hydrogen atom is similar as a Bohr's model of an atom. Now come on, next point, that is Bohr's theory of hydrogen atom. Niels Bohr, a Danish physicist, in 1930 proposed a new model to explain the stability of an atom. He extended this model further by applying Planck's quantum theory. He made the following assumptions in his postulates. Postulate number 1. An atom consists of a small heavy central part called nucleus, in which whole of the mass and the positively charge of the atom are concentrated. The negatively charged electrons revolve around the nucleus in a closed circular orbit. The centripetal force required for the rotation is provided by the electrostatic force of attraction between the positively charged nucleus and the negatively charged electron. Here in the figure it shows that electrons revolve around the nucleus. On the revolving electron, centripetal force acting from the side of the center and electrostatic force also acting on this moving charge particle. So, the electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and the electron is Fe, which is equal to 1/4πε0 Ze square divided by R square, where R is the distance between nucleus and the charged electron. Ze is the mass of the charge on the nucleus. ε0 is the permittivity of the free space. On moving charged particles, also a necessary centripetal force acting on it, which is equal to Fc, that is mv square divided by r, where m is the mass of the charged particle, v is the orbital velocity of the electron, r is the distance between nucleus and the electron. So, according to the first postulates of the Bohr's theory, the electrostatic force and the centripetal force acting on a charged particle are equal, that is mv square divided by r, which is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 ze square divided by r square. This is the first postulates of the Bohr's theory of hydrogen atom. Now come on, second postulate. The electron revolve only in a certain specific non-radiating orbits called stationary orbits. When the electrons revolve in these orbits, there is no loss of energy. Bohr shows that the electrons can only occupy an orbit for which the angular momentum of moving electron is an integral multiple of nh upon 2 pi, where h is the Planck's constant. Thus, for any given orbit, moment of electron is mv, where m is the mass of the electron, v is the angular velocity of the electron. So, angular momentum of electron, which is equal to mvr, where r is the distance between nucleus and the electron. According to the above postulates of the Bohr's theory, we can say that angular momentum of the moving electron, which is equal to nh upon 2 pi, that is mvr, which is equal to nh upon 2 pi, where n is the any positive integer having values n equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on, and is called principal quantum number for innermost orbit n equal to 1. This is the second postulates of the Bohr's theory. Now come on, third postulates of the Bohr's theory of hydrogen atom. When an atom jumps from one orbit of higher energy to another orbit of lower energy, the energy is emitted in the form of radiations. The amount of energy emitted is the difference of energies of electron in the two orbits. Thus, an atom may emit or absorb energy from photons only when one electron of atom jumps from higher to lower orbit or from lower to higher orbit respectively. Here in the figure it is clearly shows that electron jumps from higher orbit to its lower orbit. During this jumping, it releases its extra energy in the form of the photons or radiations. Let's consider E1 is the energy of electron in inner or lower orbit. E2 is the energy of electron in outer or higher orbit. Mu is the frequency of radiations emitted when an electron jumps from higher orbit to lower orbit. Now, according to these postulates of the Bohr's theory, we have h mu is equal to E2 minus E1, where E2 minus E1 is the energy difference between two energy levels. H is the Planck's constant. V is the frequency of radiation. Now come on next points, that is derivation of radius of Bohr's theory of Bohr's orbit. According to the third postulates of the Bohr's theory, h mu is equal to EI minus EF, where EI is the energy of the innermost orbit and EF is the energy of the electron in the higher orbit or final orbit. For hydrogen atoms, Z is equal to 1. Now, according to the first postulates of the Bohr's theory, that is mv square divided by r, which is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 e square divided by I square. Give equation number 1. Multiplying equation on both sides by m, we get, and cancelling r also, we get m square v square, which is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 m e square divided by r. Give equation number 2. Now from second postulates of the Bohr's theory, we know that mvr is equal to nh upon 2 pi. Give equation number 3. Squaring on the both sides of equation number 3, we get m square v square I square, which is equal to nh square h square divided by 4 pi square. Now rearranging this equation, m square v square, which is equal to n square h square divided by 4 pi square I square. Here we keep r square in denominator in the second side. Give equation number 4. Give it to equation number 4. Now equating equation number 2 or now comparing equation number 2 and equation number 4, we get n square h square divided by 4 pi square r square, which is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 m e square divided by r. Now taking r one side and keeping all terms in the other side, we get here r is equal to epsilon 0 n square h square divided by pi m e square. Give equation number 5. Using the value of r in equation number 2, we get, now the value of r we keep in equation number 2. Equation number 2, we know that mv, which is equal to nh upon 2 pi m e square divided by epsilon 0 n square h square. Now keeping v one side and taking all terms in other side, we will get here a square divided by 2 mu 2v epsilon 0 n h. From the above equation, we get the radius of the nth orbit of the Bohr's atom is Rn is equal to epsilon 0 n square h square divided by pi m e square. From equation number 5, we will get nth radius of the nth orbit of the Bohr's atom. So from this expression, we can, all terms are constant, only n is variable, so we can write it as Rn is directly proportional to n square, where n is the orbit number, r is the distance between nucleus and orbiting electron. Hence, the electron cannot rotate in any arbitrary orbit, but in certain specified orbits in which radius is proportional to the square of an integral number characterizing that orbit. Thus, the radii of the orbits are in the ratio of 1:4:9:16 and so on. Now here we have to find derivation of energy of Bohr's orbit. The velocity of Bohr's orbit in the nth orbit is the velocity of electron in nth orbit is V is equal to E square divided by 2 epsilon 0 nh. The kinetic energy of electron in the nth orbit is kinetic energy is equal to me square divided by 8 epsilon 0 square n square h square. And we also know that the potential energy of electron in nth Bohr orbit can be obtained as follows. The potential energy of electron when it is at a distance r from the nucleus is measured by the work done in moving electron from the distance r to infinity. So, potential energy, which is equal to integration 0 to infinity f into dr, where f is the force and dr is the smallest distance. Now, keeping f, that is electrostatic force, which is equal to integration 0 to infinity 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 e square divided by r square into dr. Here, taking out all constant term from integration, we only integrate 1 upon dr, which is equal to minus 1 upon r. Integration 0 to infinity into 1 into dr, which is equal to minus 1 upon r. So, keeping integration term in this equation and taking out all constant term out of integration, we will get potential energy, which is equal to minus 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 e square divided by r. Using the value of r, the potential energy becomes minus me square divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 square n square h square. Now we have to find total energy of electron in the nth Bohr orbit, which is equal to kinetic energy plus potential energy. Kinetic energy, we know that me raised to 4 divided by 8 epsilon 0 square n square h square minus potential energy is minus me raised to 4 divided by 4 epsilon 0 square n square h square. So, from subtracting these two equations, we will get here total energy En is equal to minus me raised to 4 divided by 8 epsilon 0 square n square h square. Negative sign indicate that electron is bound to the orbit. Thus, the energy of nth orbit is inversely proportional to the square of the principal quantum number. So, after taking out all constant term, we can write directly proportional or inversely proportional as En is inversely proportional to n square, that is En is directly proportional to 1 upon n square, where n is the principal quantum number, En is the total energy of electron in nth orbit. Now, we have to find ground state energy of hydrogen atom. Ground state is the lowest orbit of hydrogen atom, for which the principal quantum number, which is equal to 1 in ground state. Radius of first Bohr orbit is r1, which is equal to epsilon 0 h square divided by pi m square, where r1 is equal to all terms are constant, so we can find its value, that is r1, which is equal to 0.528 angstrom. Hence, equation number equation of velocity we can write as Rn is equal to n square r1. The energy of electron in the ground state, that is in the first Bohr's orbit, E1 is equal to minus m e raised to 4 divided by 8 epsilon 0 square h square. So all terms are constant terms, so we can find out E1 is equal to minus 13.6 electron volt. His equation of total energy can be written as En is equal to E1 upon n square. This gives that E2 is equal to minus 3.4 electron volt, E3 is equal to minus 1.51 electron volt, etc. and so on. Thus, energy of electron goes on decreasing when it goes away from the nucleus. Now you have to study all these points and make your notes and study it. Thank you.